Social justice at the new school also does not look like, I don't know, a progressive graffiti brand that is meaningless. It does not, or exactly what it looks like now is that we don't practice what we preach. It does not or should not look like depression. I think someone said this was a storm. It does not look like a dollar bill, so we can't just, I don't know, not get funding. It doesn't look like a policy that is bullshit, silly, white, and something else. And those are what it does not look like. So I don't know if we want to do the utopian version of harmony.
And that, I mean, that was, so I can just get Melissa in there. So what's the social justice look like at the new school?
Well, I guess we interpret it in a very idealistic fashion of what we want it to look like, maybe. And so it's kind of our little circle of harmony, which is all the schools, and then we have the administration, the staff, the president, the faculty, the student, and the provosts holding hands here. So basically just working together, and that's what we touched on at the very beginning, is the fact that we have this disconnect, and we're all, ultimately have the same objectives. So just the lack of communication is the first barrier we face. Interestingly enough, a couple minutes ago we had an interesting discussion that I overheard where Anna Corinne was asked why there were some things that the report blatantly lacked. And to be fair, it was a working report. So, but that's the point is, one group of students can't come up with the ultimate solution. And we need to come together and, have critique. Because, this wasn't in here, this wasn't in here. So that's why we're here tonight. So the point of this is the fact that bringing everyone together is actually going to get something done. So that's us.
Okay. And so,
For what it looks like, I think actually this little drawing right here, people can see it, but it's like two people talking to each other but not understanding each other. Hello? Oh. Okay, and this issue I think you'd be better able to speak to.
Yeah, I feel like actually the other sides of these sort of like kind of meshed with both of them of what it does and does not look like. But we definitely had HIV/AIDS awareness, which I don't think is something that's talked about rarely ever within the school, especially because today is World AIDS Day, but really every day is World AIDS Day. So that really should be incorporated into our education. It also does not look like, or what it looks like now, basically, is having a board of trustees. I realize that's not something that is easily gotten rid of, or to get rid of, but they do make really important decisions, mainly based off the fact that these are people with a lot of money, but they're also sort of handling our lives as students and the decisions that we are trying to make for ourselves and for our communities. Other things that were written, there's no trans visibility within academic text and dialogue. There are lack of courses pertaining to different ethnicities. There's also the school policies are often, or I think they're all only in one language for the most part, or as far as I'm concerned, navigating that is pretty difficult. There's also pretty strict attendance policy. And this can be really problematic, especially for homeless students and students coming in and out of shelters, as well as working class students who have to work. Also, tokenism was written, education access, lack of resources for students with disabilities, class diversity. There's no queer resource center, or really any resource center for many different identities. In general.
Most of the students of color in the New School for Social Research are international students. Sorry, I'm not very good at this. Most of the students of color in the New School for Social Research are international students. Americans of color are greatly underrepresented. That's an interesting point. Issues of gender, race, class, ability would be embedded in class discussion and not in brackets. And I just think, I just wanted to re-mention, I think what I get out of the what it doesn't look like poster that's in front of me here the most is just generally the lack of resources available. And I know even just from my experience, if you need to find an answer, it's very difficult. I think if you're having a problem, it's very difficult a lot of times to figure out where you go to get the resource or if it actually exists. So.
Okay, so we'll look at, the first one was the slide of what it doesn't look like. And it says gay, poor, Latino, poor people from USA and others, of course. And I think the part that stuck out to me, and I think all three of us decided, was that the others, of course, I think is what sticks out the most, in that, you know, classifying us as others and others from what. And we could have just, you know, added diversity here, simply about what we choose not, or what we don't do to be socially just, and having social justice. Over here we have, it says, how is the political situation back at home? And I think we interpret it back as, you know, not understanding or not relating to experiences that people may have past the classroom. I mean, I think might be relating to this one over here about students who may be coming from shelters or coming from jobs, may have families, may have other situations other than being in the classroom. So that, as well as exchange of political backgrounds, and 5% tuition hike every year. So I think that maybe speaks to some of the income, and so I don't know.
Also, the other side was what social justice looks like. So between the two poster boards, it looks like that communication, exchange, heated debate, dialogue among students is what social justice looks like and should look like. But there's also silence on there, so maybe that's a reality of what's going on in the classrooms and in the environment. Also, there's a triangle, top-down administrative power, so that could be another reality as opposed to maybe the horizontal type of power that should be in place.
And wait, before you give the mic, can you talk about what you discovered down here that I pointed out to you?
Yeah, so I kind of was writing the realities of what I'm experiencing, but I found it difficult because I think that's different from what social justice looks like. So I would write what Milano, let's say, is where I'm coming from, what Milano looks like compared to what social justice looks like, which is kind of different. So I found it a little difficult, and so it was interesting.
And then also talk about the sides of the paper. Which one was easier or harder?
It was difficult to do what social justice looks like compared to what it doesn't look like. Because I think the doesn't is more ideals, and what it looks like is kind of some type of reality.
Well, just I guess what it looks like is one thing like I'm thinking about right now is just in terms of like attendance for this event. And it's one of those things like I realize like there's finals and like I'm in the midst of it, but at the same time like these issues we talk about a lot come in our classes. And it's really interesting just because like it's like taking the theory outside the classroom and putting it into practice. That's one thing I feel like the new school like lacks in that sense of like we can talk so much about theory, but when it comes to actually showing up to something and trying to like give a voice to something, like no one shows up. And that's one thing like I would like to see more at the new school.
Promoting participation, there being just like more student events.
Or yeah, and